Hello, leaders of the world. Welcome to Spread Love in Organizations, a podcast for purpose-driven healthcare leaders striving to make life better around the world by leading their teams with genuine care, servant leadership, and love. I'm Naji, your host for this podcast, joined today by Ashoka Madduri. Ashoka grew up in a small village in South India. After completing his undergrad and master's, he obtained the DAAD matching scholarship and moved to Germany. He completed his PhD in organic chemistry from University of Groningen, Netherlands, where he worked on anti-cancer complex natural products. He performed his postdoctoral research to understand pathways involved in multi-drug resistance in Mycobacterium tuberculosis at Harvard Medical School. Over the years, he has worked in multiple biotech companies and developed expertise in business development and corporate strategy. He received his exec MBA from MIT Sloan School of Management, and currently he is Blavatnik Entrepreneurial Fellow at Yale Ventures, providing strategy and enabling multiple early-stage life science startups. He is also a co-founder and CEO of Target Therapeutics, a Yale spin-out, and partner at Vestra Associates, where he advises biotech companies on strategy and partnerships. Ashoka, it is so good to have you with me today.
Thank you, Nazi. Pleasure is all mine.
Can you share with us first your story from growing up in a small village in India to Germany, Netherlands, US, and practically always being passionate about healthcare? What's in between the lines of this incredible story?
Thank you, Nazi. That is really a heavy question because I see this in a couple of parts. So one is hard work, education, discovering, family, friendship, work, and giving back. So I will touch base each segment one by one. So I grew up in a small village. We were a farmer's family. My mother passed away when I was around 6 years old, and it was a really tough time for me. My dad left us and remarried, left the village. My aunt, my dad's sister, took me in, special woman who changed my life forever. We used to farm together to sustain us. We grew rice, cotton, vegetables, flowers to sell, raise buffaloes, sold their milk. So I couldn't go to school full time. I had to work in a farm and take buffaloes for grazing, fetch drinking water from over 2 kilometers, and sometimes the pot would break halfway. So now water is gone and the pot is gone. So we can start all over again. That's my life in a nutshell during growing up in a small village. During this all the time, my aunt taught me hope, optimism, and patience. I took this close to my heart. I always take this wherever I go, and I always try to cultivate this hope, optimism, and patience in communities, families, and industry wherever I worked and planning to work going forward. So this is my childhood. Now the village by me goes to city. Somehow I finished school, and another relative, my mom's brother, took me to stay with him for college. It was totally different world in the city. I studied for bachelor's in science. The books were in English. I had no idea what was written in them. I purchased them, same books in my local language, Telugu, and studied both side by side. The relatives supported me temporarily. Even families can't even make ends meet. During this time, even the small amount of love they showed done miracles in my life. Imagine if we can get even more in our families, industry, and communities we are living in. This is really something that really reflected on my life. Imagine the small amount of care and love and affection changed my whole life forever. Imagine how we can spread this throughout the communities and families industry we are living in, and what are the things we can change and the impact we can have in the world. So after finishing my undergrad in the city, I obtained a Spirit of Excellence scholarship and completed a master's in chemistry. Following that, I obtained a prestigious DAAD matching funds fellowship and moved to Germany. That was my first flight to flying to Germany. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So following that, I finished my PhD from University of Groningen, Netherlands. I found my love, my wife. I fell in love. and that changed my life forever. As this podcast theme is love, and that is one of the important component of finding love, not only in families but also in communities, and also the education, the place you are in. Following finishing my PhD, I crossed the pond once again, moved to Harvard Medical School to finish my postdoc, continued my professional journey in the United States here, worked in small and medium-sized biotech companies, built teams, started as a head of R&D, research and development, built teams from scratch, continued my professional journey into business development, corporate strategy, and consulting. While I'm doing this, I also finished my MBA from MIT. Currently, I'm also working as a Blavatnik entrepreneurial fellow, helping faculty helping faculty on strategy, strategy to take their companies to next level. So I'm also running a small company that's a Yale startup. It's Target Therapeutics. It's a small team. But still, even in a small team, the care, nurture, empowering people is very, very important, because we are building from scratch. That sets the tone for our next generation of employees that are going to come into the company. So I'll stop here, Nazi. I'm happy to continue if you have any other questions on this.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. It's just such an inspiring story, and thanks for sharing openly all you've done and your leadership and beliefs. Can you share with us your learning specifically on being an immigrant? Like, there's more and more discussions about the immigrant mindset, being an immigrant, and entrepreneurship, etc. I'd love to see if your story of immigration, moving those countries with the hardship that you shared, has this impacted at all your entrepreneurial journey and how you lead teams today?
Excellent question, Nazi. I think totally right. For me, I see entrepreneurship as rewarding, but first of all, is really highly risk taking. So I think coming back to my personal story, right, and also it's the same story for any immigrant, right? Leaving their country, taking risk to go to different country and new environment, new people, new language, and really kind of being comfortable learning their stuff and producing that is required to sustain your life. It's not easy, actually. I think that's the same thing I'll see in entrepreneurship too. It's risk taking. It's a lot of risk involved. So I think as an immigrant, I think it becomes a second nature to you to take that risk and really build companies. Actually, I think that is the reason I believe that United States become United States just because of that risk takers like immigrants, people who come here and build this country what it is now today.
So you've been working in several biotechs, and you co-founded one. You're running it as the chief exec officer, and you're also mentoring along the way several other founders, biotech founders, life science founders. What is your key advice when you talk to founding teams starting life science companies?
I think the key advice is, I think, of course, we are in a very highly technical industry, right? Science needs to be there for sure. I think more than science, right? I think building the right team is really important. I think really, first 3 or 4 people you are really hiring, nurturing them, empowering them, and they are the ones setting tone for your company's growth, actually. So I believe in really building team, and also along with having a strong science foundation. So I think that's where I put a lot of emphasis, actually, and this is the advice I'll give to any entrepreneurs out there planning to build their company from scratch. Look for that right people, actually, who shares the value, and to nurture the people that they work with. That's going to set the tone for the development of the company.
So can you share with us a little bit more, like those leadership skills, and how do you look at this in a founding team? Is it complementary? Is it specific leadership skills you believe foundationally they should have? I'd love to get your thoughts because specifically on this team, as you said, like this is the biggest piece. There's science and team. How do you look through this, and what are the skills and capabilities you look for?
I think first for sure, for any team you're building initial, right, it's always good to have complementary skills. I think that is a given. Besides having the complementary skills, right, I think people need to understand the vision of the company in two ways. I see one is really from technical point of view, where we are now, where we want to go in few years, and second thing is what kind of team we would like to build. So that's where I really focus emphasis on. Actually, whenever we are hiring new employees, want to make sure that they share the same vision for the technical side as well as for non-technical side, how to really build the teams and the company as a small institute, right? Ourselves to nurture each other. So I think the important focus is really what values they share, and whether they share the common vision with us to really build these teams to take this forward.
I love it. You mentioned a couple of times, and you touched it on culture that this team is trying to build. So there's the values, shared values, a shared purpose as you're building this, especially when you're a small team. And then there is what you're trying to build as a culture. And you said the first hires are key. Can I double click on this and ask you, what are you trying to build as a culture? For example, if you take your venture now as a CEO.
I think culture is the key, right? Nazi, the couple of reasons for this, right? Attracting talent in this competitive environment is not easy. There's plenty of options for people who are just coming out of school. They can choose to work in different companies, at any time. So keeping the talent in-house, that is very key, actually. What it starts from is culture. It's having that really culture, actually. And trust each other and empower each other, and really having that caring, affection, and love. I think that's very, very important at this stage, actually. I think money component is there. Some people really get motivated by money, but I think a lot of times I've seen is actually having that culture, care, and empowerment and love. I think keeps the people together for a longer time. I think that's what for me culture means, actually. I think people who share these values and believe this is the way to go forward, that's, I think, for me, the culture, actually. I think this starts from first few people, actually, that you are in your company. That is, I believe this is like a virtuous cycle. If you have three people and they share same values and keep moving, actually, with the team you build going forward. So
this is very powerful, and obviously I'm biased. I'd love to know how you do it in a small team to show this. Because culture, you can say I want this, but obviously it's the perception of what's going day by day that is making it lived or not. So I'm intrigued, especially in a space where you're fundraising, it's tough, science is tough, and it humbles us every day in drug development and discovery. You're talking with VCs constantly, and then you're coming with, like, I have science and I have a team and I have love and passion. I would love to know how you're doing it.
So I think there's no magic bullet, Nazi. I think everyone knows, fundraising is hard. And also being a CEO for a startup company, right? It's also a highly risky job. It's not fun too. There is a lot of things can go wrong. We're trying to get the data that's required to raise the funding. You may not even get it, actually. So I think the one way I'm keeping all the things together, I'm also learning from each other, right? Not only me, actually, also looking to my early employees' point of view, what they see, what the issues we're facing, actually. So learn from each other, actually. And also at the same time, right, understand, be a good listener, actually. So I think a lot of times I see in early stage CEOs, right, they do have some kind of idea how to run the company, but I think they fail to listen to the early stage employees, actually, who are key instrument of the company. I think listening, I think this is very, very important, actually. That really solves majority of the issues that the early stage companies are facing. So that's something I cultivated, Nazi. Listen to your employees and see what they're saying, and act according to that. that going to solve really a lot of issues. So I think that's something I cultivated in our company. And also, second thing is having that bigger vision. Actually, yes, you do have upside downs. Maybe things won't work out the way you want. Maybe even raising capital takes more than time required. Data you are looking for, it may not get actually. But I think having that bigger vision, right? That belongingness, like, okay, we are here for each other. We can support each other. We can get through this. Actually, having that kind of mindset, you can, that can sustain you for a longer time. So
certainly, and you mentioned a key point, which is belonging, and I think focusing on this can solve a lot of issues on retention, feeling part of something bigger, as you already shared before. If I ask you a question more technical, practically now, you've been helping so many biotechs, and you've been on the edge of new technology. I'd love to get your thoughts on how's the biotech environment in 2023, since we're the first couple of months of the year, and what's your take on it moving forward for this year and next one?
So I think that's a great question, Nazi. The COVID really disrupted biotech industry a lot. I think in 2023, we still seen a lot of headwinds especially in public markets and also some in private markets. But I'm really optimistic. The lessons we learned from COVID, right? How to be flexible. How to be resilient. I think that these are the lessons actually very, very important for biotech industry. How we can be more flexible and resilient in this changing environments. So I think the hybrid culture is really going to stay for a longer time. There is something industry never thought is going to happen. I think these 2 years kind of accelerated almost like 10 years of lifetime in biotech industry. So I think keeping this in mind, right, hybrid environment and also technological evolutions that are happening, especially in gene cell therapy and also mRNA, the industry is geared to do more things that kind of can't imagine actually 10 years ago. So that I'm really optimistic for this industry, and I'm going to play one of the small company CEO key role going forward actually to really bring a transformative therapies actually that are much more safe and efficacious for patients.
That's awesome, and we need so much of all the innovation we are all working on. Patients actually cannot and should not wait. So it's thanks for all you're doing with your new venture and also advising all the other biotechs too. I would give you now a word, and I would love your reaction to it. I'm sure you were ready for this section.
Sure.
So the first one is leadership.
So for me, leadership is all empowerment. I expand on that. Especially after COVID, people gone through so many transformations, being hybrid. I think empowering is kind of undervalued actually. So I think I really touch base on any leaders out there, empower people around you. I think even the small change, the small feedback, the positive feedback that you give to the person, that changes the life of that person tremendously. So I think for me, empowerment, leadership is always empowerment.
What about health equity?
Equal health for all. That's what comes to my mind. But is it really truly happening in the country we are living in? It's still far away. Hopefully, as a leaders, we collectively find the answers to make that equal to all happen soon.
The third one is fireside chats.
It's scary. So, but I think it's scary. But if you take that moment to think about it, what kind of impact it can have, the organically sharing your story and genuine to and truthful to who you are, I think that can change and also that can change a lot of people's life actually, and have in a positive way, having greater impact. I totally support fireside chats. There is something you won't really see that you see normally in other stories. So highly recommend that any entrepreneurs, leaders, do themselves and also ask other people to do this. Actually, that's the only way we can build a strong community.
And just as a background for our listeners, the fireside chats are actually moments where we share our stories, and I had the opportunity to be in the same program as you, Ashoka. And it's really those moments where you have the opportunity to share your story and tell it, and it's definitely powerful moments as you did today, sharing your personal story with all of us here. The last one is spread love in organizations.
So it's a continuous, right? It's a journey. So I think, so as someone said, life is a journey, not a destination. I totally believe same is true for love. Love is a journey, not a destination. The reason I say this is, you can, even in families, right? You found love, you got married, that is not enough. Same thing I see in industry and communities. Once you found love, you need to nurture. Look at the issues that you're going to solve and facing every day, and find solutions. Actually, I think I feel this love is a journey. It's not a destination, and we should keep cultivating this culture throughout our career, not only industry, also in family, and also in communities we are living in.
And we're trying here to do our part, bringing incredible leaders like you who believe in this, and hopefully we can keep growing this journey together to lead from a place of love, for us to be able to execute and deliver for the patients we serve and all the stakeholders. Any final word of wisdom for healthcare leaders around the world?
Empowering people is one of the things I take very close to my heart, Nazi, and what you are doing through your podcast, spreading love. I love the theme, and this is something hope many leaders will spread the love and to empower their people. This is the way we can build the stronger communities, and we can have a greater impact on society as a whole. So,
well, thank you so much, Ashoka, for being with me today and for this incredible chat.
Thank you, Nazi. What you are doing is great, and hopefully you continue doing this and spread the love across the industry.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank you all for listening to Spread Love in Organizations podcast. Subscribe and connect with us on SpreadLoveIO.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. Most importantly, spread love in your organizations and spread the word around you to inspire others and amplify this movement our world so desperately needs.